This is the smallest functional house in the world, complete with running water, electricity, a kitchen, and even a toilet. I'm gonna show you how I built this and spend 24 hours living in it to answer one question. Just how tiny can a house actually get? As home prices have shot through the roof over the last decade, tiny living has become more and more popular. We've gone from container homes to tiny homes on wheels, to van life, to truck campers, to this dude in London who lives in a dumpster. And that led me to think, just how far can this go? What is the smallest living space a human could actually live in? More specifically, a human who is about as flexible as a walnut and is the same height as a fully grown female ostrich. To find out, I'm gonna do what any reasonable person would and go build the smallest house in the world. But to do that, I first need to find the current record holder. The first thing I came across is the 1 square meter house, which is super innovative in that it can be flipped to transform from a bed into a desk space, but I wouldn't exactly call this a functional house in that it lacks any amenities. And that takes us to smallesthouseInTheWorld.com, where I found this contraption built by a fella named Jeff Smith. Unlike the 1 square meter house, it has lights, a sink, a stove, and even a toilet. And if you're anything like 14 million other people on the internet, you probably saw this video where Ryan Trahan spent the night in it. And Jeff's home just happens to be
25 square feet. 25.
So if I want to set a new record for smallest house in the world, I guess I'm just gonna have to build one that's 24 square feet. That'll be the total interior floor space. And so I got to work on cutting out our 2x4s for the base. I made 2 that are longer, 2 that are shorter, and assembled them together to make a rectangle. That is one Michael Jordan sized rectangle right there. The height at least. I don't know if our boy MJ is quite that thick, but what do I know? I don't play basketball. Then I added supports and cut out the singular floorboard because this entire house takes up less space than a sheet of plywood. And you better believe I coated the base in waterproofing sauce so it'll last. And to finish off the base, I'm adding some heavy-duty caster wheels so the house can be moved around easily. Man, looking at these wheels remind me of my childhood when I used to roll down hills in old truck tires. Those were some good years. And at this point, what I had built is pretty much just a giant skateboard. Want to see me do a kickflip? Tony Hawk's been real quiet since I showed up. Now it's time for the walls. But before I can build the walls, we need materials, so I headed to my favorite lumber store to pick up a couple packs of 2x2s. It seems kind of silly driving a big truck to get supplies while building a tiny house, so I'm picking up all the materials for this project on my GoTrack Sporter Cargo e-bike, which is conveniently the sponsor of today's video. Let's get to framing. So how big should the walls be? We're already breaking the world record in terms of square footage, but that just isn't enough. No. If we're gonna do this right, we need to build the world's smallest house in terms of volume too. And Jeff Smith's house is 3 feet tall with a flat roof. So if I want to give my house a 1-foot gable roof, the walls can only be 30 inches tall. And that's exactly how I made them. Nice. Now that the walls are up, I'm starting to realize just how small this thing is gonna be. Holy smokes. People were calling my first tiny home a glorified outhouse on wheels, and that's a mega mansion compared to this. And then it was time for sheathing and house wrap. So I picked up some 1/4-inch plywood that I'd be putting on the outer walls of the house under the siding. And you might be thinking, isn't it a little overkill sheathing and house wrapping the walls like an actual house? No, it isn't at all, because this is an actual house. It just happens to be the smallest one ever built. And I'm doing things just as you would with a full-size home. You'll see just how far we're gonna be taking this later on, but I'm not cutting any corners. Okay, maybe I'm gonna be cutting a few corners. And with the sheathing finished, it was time for house wrap, and it only took a single roll and a handful of staples to get the job done. And in case you didn't know, this house wrap just helps keep the moisture out of the walls. But that shouldn't matter too much anyways, because I'm shooting this video in Arizona. This place is drier than my sense of humor. Big thanks to my cousin Jeff for letting me shoot this video in his backyard. Everyone say thank you to Jeff.
He's the best.
Classic Jeff W.
Yep. By the way, do you know today's date?
March 1st.
Okay, now can you tell me today's date? And you can call me Bill Gates, cause next I installed windows. These grandma looking windows for the front, and the stop sign looking octagon thing for the back. Then I cut up some trim to put all around the edges of the windows and door, even the octagon, which was really tricky. They got sauced up and Brad nailed down, and we were in business. Do you guys know that the US Pentagon was actually originally supposed to be an octagon? Yeah, the architect cut a few corners. And with the trim looking amazing, the question now is what kind of siding should I use? In almost every build so far I've used tongue and groove, which looks great, but I feel like I need to change it up a little and be less predictable. Never let them guess your next move. And the siding I picked out is shiplap. They overlap on top of each other just like that. This is totally functional and it looks awesome. So after doing another lumber haul on the bike, I started cutting the boards to size, making special cutouts to go around all the openings. And before going any further, I dry fit the siding to make sure every single board fits in place perfectly. This is some hard work, but it's a lot better than that building job I got in Egypt. That ended up being a pyramid scheme. Once all the shiplap was sliced up, I slathered on a nice stained poly sauce, which took an entire day in real life, so thank goodness for time lapses. Then one board at a time, I nailed all the siding in place until it looked like a little log cabin. And for the corner trim, I'm using these 90-degree boards that are sauced up in the dark stain to match the windows and door. And of course, I used a brad nailer. I don't know who Brad is, but good for him. I hardly even know her. All the walls need now is a circular window. Time for a window reveal. I found this on Amazon and I think it's meant for dogs, but I thought it'd be perfect for this. Because I got that dog in me. Arr, arr. Let's talk about the door. It's gotta be functional, it's gotta be cool looking, and it's gotta be 2 feet by 2 feet. I'm one stuffed crust pizza slice away from not being able to squeeze through it. I started by cutting some 1.5-inch pieces of pine that would be the edges of the door, and I nailed them together. Then I traced out a piece of 1/2-inch plywood that would fit snugly in our new door frame, which the design would go on top of. Ever since I made this miter cut door for my truck camper, I've been wanting to do something similar. So I sketched out this chevron design into the plywood and cut out the angled pieces I'd need, alternating between wide and thin pieces to make the magic come together. Then I sauced up the wide and narrow pieces with light and dark stain respectively, and laid them out on the board, securing them with big old dollops of wood glue and screws. Every piece got 1 to 2 screws, so the result was a homogeneous mess of striped wood. Then I cleaned up the edges of the whole thing with a circular saw so it could fit back in the original door frame. And I glued some cedar along the backside to make it look good all around. I feel like I'm introducing my truck camper door to its baby brother or something. Goo goo gaga, it's a boy. And I busted out the router to carve some slots for the hinges to go into, which worked amazingly. I also used a jig to carve the doorknob holes so I can install this basic black doorknob on the house. I drilled out a latch for the other side, cut some trim to make a doorstop, and we had ourselves a door. Isn't this just the cutest little door you've ever seen? Looks like it was made for an elf or goblin or something, which is perfect because I am a goblin. Oh shoot, lost my key again. I don't know how we're gonna get inside now. Okay, so now that the exterior is mostly done, you might think it's time for the roof. Absolutely not. Do you have any idea how cramped it would be working in here with a roof on? That's just lower back sciatica waiting to happen, man. So I'm thinking with the old noggin and doing the interior first. I'm trying to work smarter, not harder. Unlike the folks who built the Big Ben in London, they were working around the clock. The first thing the interior needs is insulation, so I picked up some 1/2-inch foam board that rolled up nicely into a burrito, so transport was so much easier. I got to work on cutting it to size using a jigsaw, which is fitting because the pieces fit in place like a puzzle. And just like that, she was insulated. So here are my thoughts for the layout of the interior. This right here is gonna be my bed and shower, which I know sounds bizarre, but also is bizarre. I'll show you what I mean by that in a bit. On this side over here, I'll have the sink. I won't even have to get out of bed to brush my teeth. How about that? Then on the other side beneath the window, we'll have our stove. It'll be a nice little kitchen. And now you might be wondering where the bathroom is. Where are you gonna go poo-poo pee-pee time, David? Don't worry, we'll be getting to that in a bit. So like I said, the bed and the shower are gonna be the same thing. I mean, think about it. You're not ever sleeping and showering at the same time. Hopefully. So it's inefficient to have a bed space that's only a bed. What I'm doing is putting a 2x4 across the length of the house to make an indented area. And this will be turned into a nice little waterproof shower pan with a drain. When you're taking a shower, this will catch the water, and when it's time to go to bed, you can just put a couple cushions over it and go night-night. I cut up some 1/4-inch plywood to line the walls of the shower wherever it would need waterproofing, which in this case is the full back corner and all around the bottom. And then I drilled out a hole for the shower drain, and we're ready to put in the tile. But not just any tile. So for the shower, I thought about using actual ceramic tile because after all, it's such a small space that weight wouldn't add up to that much. But I decided against it because this thing's gonna be moving around and all that motion would just make it crack apart. So instead I found these vinyl tiles that are waterproof, look just like actual ceramic tile, and most importantly, are flexible. And the other nice thing is these can be snapped just by scoring them with a knife. So then I applied some special tiling sauce and started putting the squares in place, working my way across all the areas that'll get wet, paying close attention to detail. I've actually never done anything with tile before, but the cool thing about building tiny homes is it gives you the opportunity to learn the skills you need for building a bigger house with a lot less time commitment and risk. If I mess up a tiling job on a big house, that's a $4,000 mistake. If I mess up the tiling here, that's a $40 mistake. Such a good way to learn new things. Later on, we'll put a shower curtain going across here and I'll show you what we're doing for the shower's water supply, but first, we're doing the next thing. And the next thing is installing flooring, so I picked up a pack on my e-bike. These were small enough I could just put them right on the back of the bike. I used wood laminate flooring, which looks and feels just like wood, and it only took 3 pieces to cover the entire floor, which is absolutely unheard of. Does this not look like a section of professionally done flooring in a big house? That turned out looking lovely. So next, it's time to build the little sink under the window. And this is gonna be a very, very small sink because we only have 9 inches of height. So first, I cut some 1/2-inch plywood to 14 inches wide. And by me, I mean our boy Lucas at Home Depot, because that's the only way I could fit it on the bike. And so I cut the pieces to size and assembled them together into a box that would perfectly fit the sink bowl and look really nice. Then I hit it with the old jigsaw to carve out an opening for the sink and sauced it up with a nice rustic looking stain. So now all we're missing is a sink to go in the stand. And good news, it should be arriving any minute. Oh, there it is now. Let that sink in. This is a hand-hammered sink, which sounds really fancy, but I put a faucet next to it that is significantly less fancy. Then I drilled a hole out of the bottom for the drain. If this is gonna be an actual house, then you better believe it needs plumbing. Jeff Smith's house uses a Nalgene water bottle to gravity power the sink, but I wanna take things to the next level and actually have a pump-operated water system. So let me show you how we're gonna make that happen. Our fresh water supply for the house is gonna be held in this 2-quart tank, which may not seem like much, but also isn't much. The world's smallest house is gonna have the world's smallest water supply. Go figure. Then at the bottom corner of this tank, I'm screwing in a little 3/8 inch elbow, and that'll use epoxy to stay watertight. And then from here, I'm using PEX pipe to connect our water supply to the inlet for the pump. And this is the smallest 12-volt pump I could find. It's fun size. Then I used one more piece of PEX to attach the pump to the faucet, and that there is a plumbing job even Mario and Luigi would sign off on. Then I drilled in this nice little threaded cap so the tank can be filled up with water using a funnel. All right, it's the moment of truth. We'll see if she works. Yeah, she's golden. Okay, one last thing. You might be wondering where the shower's water supply is coming from, or you might not be. I don't know how much you shower, you stinky little freak. I actually epoxied this little threaded piece onto the sink nozzle. So now I can easily screw this shower hose onto the sink nozzle whenever it's time to scrub a dub-dub. But where's all the wastewater gonna go? To catch all the drainage from the shower and sink, I'm using this container as a gray water tank. This will catch all the drainage water, and once I'm in a place where I can release it, I can do so using this nozzle, keeping it nice and simple. Today we're building the kitchen, la cocina. Pequeña, muy pequeña. I was gonna use this propane stove, but I didn't realize just how big this was when I ordered it. I'm pretty sure cooking one dinner on this thing would send the whole house into flames. So instead, I got this stove for $19.99 plus tax at Walmart. It uses butane, which makes the fuel canisters much smaller, and I have a few ideas on how we can make this look beautiful. And by a few ideas, I mean one idea, which is by turning it into a decorative little box that the stove fits in perfectly, with the same rustic stain to make it match up with the sink box. But a kitchen needs more than just a stove, so I cut out some insulation to make a fridge out of the bottom half. It ain't much, but you can't say the world's tiniest house is without refrigeration. Just add ice, and you're set to keep a single steak cold for maybe half a day. And just like that, our budget camp stove is converted to a 5-star kitchen experience. So now we can move on to the walls. All right, our shower's tiled, the sink is flowing, the stove is lit, and the refrigerator is running. Better go catch it. But there's one thing that's still absolutely disgusting, and that's the walls. Let's get something that looks a little nicer on there. So I went and picked up some decorative cedar planking. I'm pretty sure I'm keeping the company that makes this stuff in business at this point. Then I sliced it up to fit along the walls, including angled pieces to wrap around windows, and it was smelling heavenly up in here. There we go. Putting up cedar took me a solid week on the tiny home and 3 days on my truck camper. This only took an afternoon and a double-double from In-N-Out. But you'll notice I didn't cover up this wall, and that's because we have to run wiring through it. Which brings us to electronics. I didn't realize just how difficult it is to be an electrician until I tried it myself. I was shocked. So the power source for our tiny little house is gonna be this tiny little 12-volt battery. This is actually made for a jet ski. I'm mounting this to the base in a waterproof casing and then running wires up into the wall. Here, the battery's gonna connect to 3 things, which I'll show you as we build up the wall. First, a toggle switch, which will turn the sink pump on and off. Second, a dimmer switch, so I'll be able to control the lights I'll be putting in later. And finally, a charge controller for the solar panel. And I specifically chose this charge controller because it has built-in USB ports, so I can charge all my gadgets and gizmos without having to install any additional outlets. And just like that, we're left with a semi-completed interior and these 2 sets of wires that'll lead into the roof. Speaking of which, did I tell you guys the joke about the roof? Never mind, it's probably over your head. I'm making the roof frame out of 2 different types of boards, 2x2s and 2x3s. I didn't even know 2x3s existed until now, and I've been building things for years. 2 years to be exact, but still plural. I screwed the boards together into a rectangle that fits perfectly around the top and is flush with the edges. Then I drilled holes through the roof and down into the walls where I could put bolts to hold it all together. Once that was done, I cut more 2x2s to form the gable and screwed them in place before cutting a rafter that goes all the way across the top and angled pieces of 2x2s to frame the slant of the roof that would overhang just enough to keep the rain off the body of the house while still being short enough to let the door open. And now that the roof is framed, we're gonna start on the sides and keep the shiplap going up and into the triangles. I don't know if I should have made these triangles over 90 degrees like I did. It just doesn't seem right. I cut more shiplap for the roof sides and sauced it up with the same stuff as before. The goal is to make it look like the roof isn't separate, even though it is. I used 1/4-inch plywood for the roof boards and secured them in place with brad nails. Then I cut some metal flashing for the edges of the roof and put some black trim around the sides that match everything else. So now the time has come to put the actual roofing on, and for this, we're gonna use shingles. I've actually never used shingles for a build in my life, so thought I'd go pick some up and try to figure out how in the heck these things work. So I'm starting off the roof by putting down a layer of tar paper, and this will be our base layer of water resistance. And on top of that, I put the shingles down in a staggered pattern. The roof's too thin for nails, but trust me, these staples go deep and they're holding strong. This process was actually really fun, and at the end, I added a ridge cap across the top and ended up looking so much better than it should have with me building it. It looks like the roof on an actual house. I mean, I guess it is the roof on an actual house. That's kind of the point of this whole video, but I'm shocked, to say the least. And you might be thinking that these shingles are expensive, but nah, they're on the house. So now that the roof's done, it's time to slap on a solar panel. This right here is a 100-watt monocrystalline solar panel, which ain't much, but we don't need much. If anything, this solar panel's overkill. So I centered the panel and mounted it using Z-brackets. So at first I was gonna put the solar panel on the back side so it'd be out of the way, but I decided to put it on the front just so the thumbnail would be more interesting. And hey, you clicked on it, so must have been a good call. And I'm feeding the wires into the roof via this little waterproof entry point called a gland. That's a horrible name. And then once inside, the solar panel will connect to the wires that I previously ran to the charge controller. Holy moly, this is small. My cousin and I lifted the roof back off so it'd be easier to work on, and I got to work on cutting insulation. This would be especially important on the roof because it's black and will heat up easily. I drilled holes for the wiring to pass through, and next up was the cedar. It's the same stuff I put on the sides, and I'm just continuing it up and around the ceiling because it smells good and I love it. Then I cut out holes for the 12-volt lights and wired them into place so the house would have lighting. Once it was looking like a masterpiece, we picked it back up and put it on the house for a test. Moment of truth in 3, 2, 1. Woo! Yeah! That's what we like to see. It is crazy how much of a difference some cedar and some lights can make in a living space. I feel ready to take a nap already. Can't do that yet. We still have more work to do. We now have a working shower, sink, stove, fridge, and even electricity, but there's one critical thing missing, and that's the bathroom. Das Pupen farten, as they say in Germany. Probably. We need a place to go pee pee poo poo, and this is that place. My plan is to build a lifted porta potty of sorts on the side of the house. But that would look super weird and out of place, so I'm disguising it as something that looks like it belongs, a chimney. Santa's gonna be in for one heck of a surprise when he goes sliding down the chimney this year. I picked up some more pre-cut 1/2-inch plywood on my Go Tracks and trimmed up the pieces a bit more with a jigsaw until I had 4 sides ready to make a chimney. Then I fastened the sides together in the same way I do with the box and used a jigsaw to cut out the throne for my oval office. I also sanded it so it's smooth and it was ready for use. I fit the whole thing snugly in place, and we had ourselves a very small bathroom for an equally small house. And before I put on the final wall, let me show you how this toilet's gonna work. If you've got to go number 2, you're gonna start by putting a grocery bag in the bottom. Then you'll stick your dumpy into the dump box and let her rip. Then you can tie up the bag, drop it out the bottom, and then this can be thrown away without ever having entered the house itself. Anything involving poop is just automatically nasty, but in the world of defecation, that's actually a pretty clean way to take care of business. And of course, I built a little toilet paper holder to put up into the chimney. If I was the least bit thicker, there's no way I could use this thing. Holy smokes. With all systems go, I nailed the final wall in place and got to cutting on this fake brick material, which I thought would really sell the look of this being a chimney. I don't think it will, but hey, at least the thought was there. And as a finishing touch, I'm putting an actual chimney topper on, which will just keep the rain out and make it look extra cool. Chimney topper? Hardly even. On the inside, the bathroom looks amazing. And don't get me wrong, I love having a toilet 9 inches from my kitchen as much as the next guy, but I think we need a door here to separate it. And so I built a door to separate it using some leftover cedar. And I'd say this looks pretty awesome. And seeing as how I'm building a structure with a black roof in Arizona, don't you even think for a minute I forgot about cool. It's little, just like the house. But honestly, this thing is so small that just opening the doors and windows will be plenty of ventilation.
And just like that, I was the proud owner of not only a tiny house, but the tiniest house. And so it was time to live in it for a day.
Got my new crib, and 24 hours starts now. Why are YouTubers always measuring time in hours? Back where I come from, that's just called a day.
Okay, first things first, I was trying to think of things that new homeowners do, and I feel like after buying a house, most people decorate and put up a bunch of those cheesy little signs that the upper middle class moms are into. I think we need to do a decor haul to liven things up in here, and I know the perfect store for the job. Enjoy the little things, and it's too big to fit in the house. Nice. I mean, of course I have to get this. This should say live, laugh, lumbar scoliosis, because that's what I'm gonna have by the end of this video. If anyone needs an interior designer, hit me up. Does this place not look like it was decorated by a Texas grandma? 6:30 is the best time of the day, hands down.
Okay, so after a morning spent decorating, I think it's time for some lunch, and I thought it would be funny if I ordered DoorDash to the world's smallest house. First, I gotta download DoorDash though, because Lord knows we don't have that back in Wyoming. You order DoorDash back home and a moose is gonna show up with your food. All right, I think that's him. Hello?
Dude, this is crazy. DoorDash for David?
That would be me. What if I told you this is the smallest house in the world?
I wouldn't believe you. What's that?
That's the camera.
No, behind it.
Oh, that's the pooper.
Oh, that's where you make the number 2.
So here's the kicker. I have a $100 tip for you, but you have to win it $20 at a time by answering trivia questions about the house.
I'm ready for the challenge.
It's like if you ordered a Mr. Beast challenge off of Wish.com. Welcome to Who Wants to Be a $100-aire, the low-budget ripoff of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where the cash prize is proportionate to the house size. Question number 1. What is the total square footage of my house, including the chimney? 22.7 square feet, 24.5 square feet, or 26.2 square feet?
22.7?
You nailed it, 22.7. It was actually originally supposed to be 24 square feet, but I didn't realize how thick the walls were gonna be. All right, question number 2. How much does it weigh? 470 pounds, 820 pounds, or 1,100 pounds?
800?
You nailed it again.
2 for 2.
Fun little fact, that's the same weight as an adult zebra.
And they both striped.
Question number 3. What was the total building cost? $650, $1,470, or $1,780?
1,400.
Okay, people are gonna think this is fake because you're getting them all right. I swear, I didn't tell them the answers.
3 for 3. Another 20 in me.
To be honest, most of that cost was just wood.
Thanks to Woody.
Woody?
Yeah, I watched Toy Story growing up.
What does Toy Story have to do with this?
Wood, Woody, it all goes together.
Question number 4. What country has the smallest average housing size? Hong Kong, the Philippines, or Japan?
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong is right. God.
They gonna have to call me King Kong standing on all this money though.
The $100 question right here. There's 30 cows in a field and 28 chickens. How many didn't?
How many did what?
How many didn't?
2. I don't know, that was a hard one for me.
The correct answer is 10, but we'll let the people in the comments figure that one out for themselves.
Text my phone when you got the answer, because I don't know at all.
80 bucks. That's a pretty solid day of DoorDash.
Had to.
Is that the biggest tip you got today?
It was.
Right on, man.
Appreciate your time.
You too. What a nice guy.
A big meal for a tiny house.
Now I'd really love to test out the shower for the first time, but I just don't feel filthy enough to justify taking one. Let's go get in a workout first, and then I can take a shower. And today's workout is gonna be pushing the house a full mile. We're gonna give the good people of Arizona the weirdest sight they've seen all week.
I found a remote desert road in the middle of nowhere and started the strangest leg day of my life.
How's this for a home gym?
This was a lot heavier than anticipated, but you better believe it's turning my calves into cows. Does this not look like something out of Looney Tunes?
I'm probably running twice as far because I'm trying to film this all myself too.
But little did I know that problem would soon be fixed by this passerby who stopped to see what in the heck was happening.
So this lovely gentleman right here just stopped to see what in the heck I was doing.
World's smallest house, huh?
That's what she is.
Awesome. I'd love to help. What can I do?
Oh, actually that would be so sick if you could help me get a few shots. There you go, it's already rolling.
Okay.
We got a hill. Woo! Oh yeah.
to grab this camera?
That's a mile.
Nice job. Way to get her done.
Brad, you are the freaking man. I seriously thought you were gonna stop and tell me to get off your property or something, or no, you're like nothing but helpful, so.
Too intrigued with a man running down the side of the highway with a house, so I had to stop and ask, what the heck are you doing and can I help?
That'll happen. I feel like my Strava is slowly just becoming all the weird workouts I do for videos. Now we can go take a shower.
First, I need to take the bedding out to convert it into shower mode. There we go. And I have a shower rod that fits snugly across the length, just like so. Oh. And I have the cheapest shower curtain I could find.
I grabbed the shower hose out from the cabinet and twisted it onto the sink nozzle so it'll be ready for use.
And we're set. Here we go.
Oh, there we go.
I put the dump and scrub a dump.
I'm actually surprised how long this lasted, given the water tank is smaller than a gallon of milk. It's definitely substantial enough to be a usable shower.
That actually works surprisingly well. It's not a very lengthy shower, but it's a shower.
So one of the best things about being a homeowner is being able to have guests over. Being a host, you know? Why should that change just because this house is barely big enough for me alone? I have a few friends in town right now, and I thought it would be fun to invite them over for dinner. Hey, I saw you're in Phoenix. Thought I'd see if you'd be interested in coming over for dinner tonight. Yeah, I actually have a house in Arizona now. For real, it's wild.
Oh yeah, it has a really nice kitchen.
Oh, what's that? There's nobody actually on the phone, and this is all just an illustrative scene that'll transition us to the dinner party? Yeah, I invited them all via text a week ago like a normal person. What kind of psychopath calls another human in 2024? Bree, what's up? Good to see ya. Rachel.
So good to see you.
You brought Fado. Michael, what's up?
Thanks for having me over for dinner, man.
For sure.
I'm 6'3", how am I supposed to fit in here?
I can't be the only tall guy out here getting lower back pain for content. And all three of these friends live in their own tiny living spaces, so they're a great fit for this. But my house is gonna be small even for them. Fado. This is just perfect, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, thank you all for coming out to dinner tonight. I have a very special dinner planned, primarily because this is the only thing that would fit in my fridge. A single fillet of salmon.
Oh, that's perfect, because I'm pescatarian.
Pescatarian? Is that the one where you go to church on Saturday? I mean, hey, most of my family's Mormon and we still love them all the same. Good for you. Let's see if I can do this without burning the house down. To be fair, there's not much to burn down, but we still don't want any incidents. And by the way, if any of y'all want a drink, feel free to grab one. They're on the house.
Are you seriously gonna make us crawl out and back in just for that joke?
The stove did a great job of cooking, and the fan did a fantastic job of pumping out all the smoke so it didn't build up inside. That actually looks pretty good. I am very happy with how that turned out. Cheers to the smallest dinner party in the world. Y'all be good now. Well, that was fun. Now let's transition to somewhere more scenic and get ready for bed. Now we're talking. I got tired of the suburbs, so I moved to the Superstition Mountains. All you need to know about this place is 3 Mr. Ballin stories have happened here. And if that's not horrifying, I don't know what is. Probably gonna be a 4th Mr. Ballin story here soon, depending on how tonight goes. And so I stood there, gazing into the beautiful desert sky. All the meanwhile, thinking that regardless of how big or small one's house is, the size of the sunset is the same for us all. Actually, I'm just thinking about what I'm gonna have for breakfast tomorrow. Don't be letting my future self tell you cheesy inspirational lies. Dude, we're the same person. Whose side are you on here?
Oh gosh.
Whew. Honestly, it's pretty bougie in here. Maybe I just have really low standards for luxury, but this is a cozy little crib. Might have to make it a guest house for my full-size tiny home. I was kind of worried about rattlesnakes and tarantulas and scorpions, but I think because I put it up on wheels, we're safe from all the creepy crawlies, y'all. All I have to worry about are aliens and El Chupacabra. And now, just like everyone in my generation, I need to spend the next 40 minutes scrolling on my phone before actually going to bed. Night-night, sleep tight, don't let the strange, dark, and mysterious bite.
We survived the night, y'all. Survived is an understatement. That's the best I've slept in a long time. Let's get some breakfast going, right after I take care of some other business. I actually woke up at like 5 a.m. this morning. I was wondering when the sun was gonna rise, but then it dawned on me. I want to address the elephant in the room, or the guinea pig in the room. Keep things proportional. I know y'all are thinking, oh, well, if this is a world record, aren't you gonna have Guinness come out and give you the little plaque? Well, I looked into it, and Guinness actually doesn't have an open record for world's smallest house. I think it's just difficult to quantify exactly what a house is, and that's totally okay. But if Guinness can't declare me a world record holder, I think there's only one person who can.
Hey!
Jeff Smith, how in the heck are ya?
Alright, how's it going, David?
It's going. I'm just here in my my little tiny palace.
Wow. I was so happy someone finally took up the gauntlet that I implied by saying mine was the smallest, you know?
Right? I was actually really surprised nobody else has tried to do this.
That was me when I started this project. It was like everyone was trying to build the best, smallest house and the cool, smallest house. No one was trying to build the smallest house, you know? It was low-hanging fruit, so I went for it. Well, you're going to have to bring that thing up here to Boston so we can do a test. When I measured my square footage, I was just kind of estimating it. I didn't get specific, and I just did. You know how many square feet it is on the inside?
How many?
22.84 square feet.
Oh man, that's gonna be close.
Well, I think that we should get someone to determine whose house is smaller sometimes. Well, after that, I will gladly give up the title if it turns out to be you.
I like that. That might have to be a follow-up video. First time in history, two dudes are arguing about who's the smaller.
I look forward to seeing you up in Boston.
All right, sounds good. I've never been to Boston. Have to come park the car at Harvard Yard.
The cow.
Well, take care. You have a good one.
All right, good talking to you.
What a nice guy. So while I may not have an official record yet, my house is definitely a worthy contender. But for now, this will just be an attempt to do something super creative and fun, and I think we knocked that out of the park. So now it's time to answer a question from earlier. How tiny is too tiny? This is too tiny. Yeah, screw that. Back where I come from, we call this a coffin. Ship that thing off to Russia and have Hasbulla live in it or something. My goodness. I'm going back to my 100 square foot mega mansion. Maybe I should put this up for rent in New York City. Probably go for about $6 grand a month.